This session is called Batch Please. Take that as you will. I enjoyed it. Your guide to marketing more efficiently. And if you're making any comments, again, I can't see. So if you have questions along the way, just speak up and I'll answer them. All right. So objectives for today, you guys, as Raylan said, I have a military background, so I need structure. All right. So therefore you are receiving structure today. Objectives, you're going to get to know me. We're going to conceptualize the switching cost. If you've never heard of task switching, we'll be introduced to that today. We're going to walk through my step-by-step guide of batching. We're going to complete an exercise and then open up for conversation to figure out how we can implement this system to take you to the next level. All right, so who is Emily? I am a mom to an amazing little nugget called Charles. I am an exercise physiology student. I am an avid Pittsburgh Penguins fan. Sidney Crosby is the only man that I would ever consider marriage for again. He just doesn't know it yet. And I'm also a daddy's girl at heart. And coincidentally, not coincidentally, anyways, I've also created Social with Emily, which will be rebranded soon after working with Tim. We're working on that. That's who I am. But the biggest takeaway for me is that I'm very passionate about helping others get their shit to the next level, because I'm a firm believer we all deserve a piece of the pie, the money pie. Okay, so what we need to understand first is the concept of task switching and how that affects your efficiency in business. All right, so task switching is defined as, or it's also known as task interleaving, occurs when a task is voluntarily or involuntarily interrupted in order to pay attention to another task, right? So you're on Clubhouse for anybody that's regularly on Clubhouse. You're on Clubhouse, you're talking, you're really passionate, and then you get a DM, right? And all of a sudden your concentration is switched from that topic of conversation and what you're speaking about to what the hell did Micah just send me in my back channel, right? How does that affect your efficiency? Micah, I love your back channels. I'm just using that as an example, so don't come at me. All right. So to give you a real life example of task switching, I have volunteered Raylan to experiment with me here. So Raylan, if you can come off mute. I did ask, are you comfortable counting to 26?
We'll see.
All right, so this is an exercise that a psychology teacher completed with her middle school students. And I saw this on YouTube and I was like, wow, this is freaking great, right? So it's not a very complex, it's not complex tasks, but I want to show you how easily our productivity can be affected when we are interleaving tasks. All right, Raylan. So task number 1, we are going to count to 26 as quickly as you can. I am going to record the amount of time it takes you on my stopwatch. All right. So if you mess up, if you're counting and then you're like, oh shit, I skipped a number, just go back to that previous number, start over, blah, blah, blah. But I'm confident in your capabilities. I don't think we'll have that issue. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let me get my stopwatch. All right, ready, set, go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23, 24, 25, 26.
All right, 9 seconds. Okay. Raylan, I do want to let you know, because you're not competitive at all, it did take me 7 seconds to complete that. It took you roughly 9. So
I appreciate that.
As you will.
My hands are sweating because of I know now I got to practice tonight. So thanks for that. Now I have another thing I have to do. Good.
Absolutely. All right. So task number 2, we are going to recite the alphabet as quickly as you can and I am going to record the amount of time it takes to you. Are you ready, my friend?
It's going to take me a minute. All right, go ahead.
All right, ready, set, go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
Perfect. 7.23 seconds. Raylan, again, I do just want to let you know it took me 4.7. So,
well, I also have to sing it because I have a 3-year-old now. And so I have to sing it in my head in order to get there. So, but yeah,
I love it. I love it.
I'll message you when I get it down. Thanks.
All right, you guys. So here's the fun part. We're going to interleave the two tasks, and I am going to record the time that it takes Raylan to complete this exercise. So interleaving within this tasks looks like 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D. Okay. Now I gave you the first 4, Raylan, but I'm not giving you the rest of them. That'd be cheating, right? So we're going to look at how long it takes your brain to cognitively put these two together. And we're going to time it. Are you ready, my friend?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's go. Well,
All right.
ready, set, go.
1A, 2B, 3C, 4D, 5E. Oh, shit. 6. F. 7. Well, damn. I already lost my spot. Okay, 1. What if I did the other way around? So A1, B2, C3. Can I do it this way? I cheated.
Sure.
Okay. D4, F5, G6. God damn, this is hard. Yeah, I don't know. Did you finish it?
I did. All right.
Write
So
it down first. Don't lie to me now.
no. I did not write it down. It took me a while. It took me 1 minute and 36 seconds. For Raylan, I'm not going to put you through the rest of it, right? But we're already at 42.6 seconds. All right. So when Raylan was counting, it took him 9 seconds. It took him 7.23 seconds to recite the alphabet. And then we got to G, and Raylan was at 42 seconds. All right. So not to pick on Raylan, I encourage you guys to test that out for yourselves, because looking at the task right now, it doesn't seem that difficult. However, when you are cognitively thinking and projecting the next upcoming combinations, it becomes really tricky. All right. So according to psychologist Gerald Weinberg, each extra task or context that you switch between eats up about 20 to 80% of your overall productivity, right? So focusing on one task at a time, 100% of your productive time is available. Task switching between 2 tasks at a time, 40% of your productive time is available for each. 20% is lost to that contact switching. Okay. Task switching between 3 tasks at a time. Each task maintains 20% of your productive time, and then 40% lost to context switching, right? So those percentages don't sound like, because, right, we're talking about macroseconds in some instances, that doesn't sound like a lot. But when you compound the interest, Atomic Habits reader, if you compound the interest of that time lost, it adds up and adds up and adds up. And then you get to the end of your week and you're like, fuck, what did I do this week? Right? So that is the idea that I want you to take away, is that my end goal is for you to increase your efficiency so that you can decrease your time obligated to sitting in front of a computer, right? Because I believe that our end goal is to be living a more abundant life. Abundancy for me does not necessarily look like every single one of you sitting in front of a computer all day. So how do we increase our efficiency in marketing? Number one, when I am talking about content, I am not specifically just talking about social media content. That is the biggest misnomer in marketing for me, which I self-inflicted, right? Because I started off as a social media manager, social media strategist, and now I've elevated myself. See what I did there? As a marketing strategist, right? So when I'm talking about content, I'm talking about any single piece of content that is public facing, that is going out to your audience, right? Now, I have created a system that works well for me. This is not like I sat down and then I just poof, it magically appeared. This is after 2 years of figuring out what worked for me. And this is the best that I've come up with as of yet. All right, so we're completing all like tasks at one time, right? So the key concept here is going to be categorizing like tasks within your content creation process. Now you are going to receive, or you have received, the tools that I use every single day, and maybe they're not all applicable to you. Maybe you don't create a blog. If you don't, I'm going to yell at you. We'll get through it and work together. You should be, right? Maybe you don't send out a weekly email newsletter. However, I want you to use the applicable tools that I've given you here to start seeing how you can be more efficient with your time so that you can saturate digital spaces effectively with your marketing. All right, so just to give you an overview of the tools that you received in the Google Doc, this is my email spreadsheet, right? So when I am planning, let me go back for a second. This is my blog spreadsheet, right? So I pick a theme for the month. I then go through and I fill out every single column here for that blog. And I go blog 1, blog 2, blog 3, blog 4, okay? I do not start thinking about any other piece of content until I have finished everything for blog 1, right? For myself, content creation looks like blog, then email, okay? So once I'm done with all of my blogs, I then split my screen. I have my blog spreadsheet, and then I have my email spreadsheet. And I copy and paste any applicable information over here, right? So now I've created my subject line. I have the date of when this is going to be scheduled out. I can copy and paste a snippet of the blog into here. Then I determine what call to action I want to have within that email. And then I come back at the very end, once I've scheduled the blogs, and I include the blog link here, right? Again, so that when I'm sending out that email, I'm not writing the email, adding everything in, and then going back to the blog post, right? Copying the blog link and coming back. It's all about efficiency. It's not sexy, but you are going to be so much happier when you utilize these habits. There you go, Joe. I would love to be booked for marketing your book. Okay, I'm just kidding. All right, so the beginning, process overview. You all received the batch please checklist. All right, so what I have done is I have written down every single step that I take when I'm completing repetitive tasks in my business, okay? So you'll be able to look at that. First, I identified those high ticket events, right? So a new product launch, a new webinar, a summit for Elevated. Raylan could identify the high ticket events as, all right, November, right? November, you're doing a big in-person event. Whenever it is, I can't see anybody. Whenever it is, November 12th. All right, so Raylan puts that on the calendar, November 12th. So then what Raylan will do, I know he has an amazing team behind him. They have reverse engineered everything from the date of that high ticket event back so that they can plan accordingly on the content that they will begin marketing in order to identify those pain points, provide the solution. The solution happens to be, hey, you need to fucking come to this in-person event, right? All right, so we identify the high ticket events. We assign a theme to each month within the content calendar. We set weekly blog dates for myself. It's Tuesday mornings. Create the blog titles, compose the written content, proofread the written content, identify and insert an inbound link, identify and insert an outbound link, create the CTA for each blog, add the blog information to that Google Drive doc, and then link my Google Doc to my Trello board, label each blog card as content written. All right, so it sounds like a lot. It sounds overwhelming. However, I promise you, if you follow these steps and if you actually implement the knowledge that I'm giving you, you will find results. So that's the beginning, right? The middle is going to be the Google Doc. So we identify all of these. For me, I might be writing it down. I might be typing it out in my notes section on my computer, whatever. Then I transpose all of that to my Google Doc. And then once all of the content is written, once all of the data is input into my Google Doc, I then link that Google Doc to my Trello board, and I can label each card throughout my content marketing funnel as complete so that I can visually see those steps are being taken. All right, so my tool of choice is Trello. I absolutely love Trello. If you have issues with Trello, I get it, but be open-minded. For instance, when we started Slack, I was like, Raylan, F you, dude. I don't want to use Slack. And now I love Slack, right? So just be open-minded. I'm going to walk you through. Will it let me do the link? Yeah. All right. So this is the Trello board. Now, you guys, I sell this on my Etsy shop for anybody who wants it. However, luckily for you, you're getting it for free. So you're going to see a tutorial video right here. That's for anybody who buys it on Etsy. After this, if you need more clarification on how to use this board, go watch the tutorial video right there. I have some example labels and everything set up right here. We're going to walk through it. All right. So when I go to, as I said, I start off with my blog. What I encourage you to do here is to have a column specifically dedicated to your high ticket events. So just for an example, I said May 15th, you're having a webinar, okay? I keep that over here just so I can visually see and keep myself on track. Now let's take a look at the blog. This is for topic 1, right? So I've added the Google Drive power up to this board so that it's super fucking easy. All right, you can go to the Google Doc right here, and now you'll see blog 1. I've got all of the information that I need right here. This is where I can copy and paste my written content, and then you'll scroll down. There's a page for each blog, right? So you go through, you complete all of this, and then you go back to your Trello board. And once this is written, I can go down here and I can say content written, right? All right, so I am not going to move over to the newsletter column until every single one of these cards has that purple label, okay? Once every single one of these purple cards has that label, I'm then going to go over and open up my email newsletter board, okay? And again, here is the Google Doc attached there. So what I would do then is split my screen between the blog and the email. I happen to send out my newsletters on Tuesday as well. So the blog goes out in the morning, an hour later, my email community gets that email saying, hey, check it out. This is what I'm talking about, right? So I copy and paste any applicable data from the blog into here so that I'm not reinventing the wheel every single time. And then link this to my Trello card. And once I am done, I go back to the Trello card and I can label that content written. There we go. All right, so I am not going to move on to the next column until every single one of those cards has that purple label. So for the long form video content script, it's super easy. Honestly, what I do for myself is I copy the written content for the blog, I paste it over here, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, it's done, right? And then I put that up on a teleprompter app for when I go live, which I haven't been doing. Somebody keep me accountable, please. All right, so after we have all of those done, we're going to move on to our social media marketing. And this is the really exciting part for me. Again, I am not specifically a social media strategist. However, what I've found is that for most entrepreneurs, the hard part is creating content and distributing it on multiple platforms, right? What I find is that most entrepreneurs start off with the micro content. So the individual social media posts, right? And then we reinvent that over and over and over again to go on multiple platforms. But what I want to encourage you to do is reverse engineer that plan. Okay. Start off with your long form content so that you can then repurpose that multiple times for each social media platform. So what does that look like? All right. So if I go here, I'm going to pull up one of my blogs just to give you an example of how am I doing on time? Is Kayla going to yell at me? Am I good?
Said you're 3 minutes over.
I'm 3 minutes over.
All
Okay.
right, just do your thing. You're good.
All right. So okay. Here is one of my blogs about why blogging is important for your business. All right, so I've got this up. I would then go ahead and take a look at each paragraph, right? And then I'm going to be copy and pasting that into a separate social media post. And if you go back and look at my reels lately, like I just posted one this morning, it came specifically from this blog, right? I'm doing a reel series on the benefits of blogging. So what I would do is I would copy this, go back over here, right? I can add it into my description. What I like to do is use that Google Doc. So you've got the Google Doc for social media. And so I'm literally just copy and pasting each paragraph into the caption form of, right? So I have my caption, then I can edit this as I need to for best practices, right? For each platform. Then after I copy and paste all of the captions into each one, I go back and I bring up my hashtag research tool. My favorite is Flick. I go in and I split the screen and I take a look. All right, so this is the caption. These are the keywords that I'm using for this post. I'm going to go ahead and do my hashtag research. So I will do that for every single one, copy and paste my hashtags here. For social media platforms that allow you to utilize outbound links, I will then go ahead and share my outbound link here, right? So for this, my goal in using this is driving traffic to that blog, which then has inbound links that I want my readers to click on. So every single outbound link that I'm using here is going to be to my blog, right? Then put in the date that you want to schedule that content and the optimized time for each platform, which you can find on your analytics dashboard. That is how I complete content for every single post, right? And so I can go in here and I can say, all right, so content written. I'm going to go to each single post and make sure that the content is written. I've put that in my Google Docs spreadsheet, right? I'm not going to move on to any card within these lists until all of them have content written, right? So all of these cards would have that purple label. Then I would go back up here. All right, let me make sure that I have all of my hashtags. So I go back, do the hashtag research, come back to my cards, hashtags added. Once I have all of these cards labeled with hashtags added, I can go back in and I will start the graphic creation process, right? So I go into Canva, I create the graphics, I split my screen between Canva and my Google Doc for the IG posts, right? So I have an idea of the caption that I've written for that, the keywords that I'm utilizing. I will create a graphic based off of those keywords, right? And then once I'm done with all of the graphics, I bulk download those from Canva and I add them. I hate this little thingy up here. You can't see it, but it's the menu thing. I can't see. All right. So what I do is I bulk upload them into a Google folder that says Instagram graphics, right? Facebook graphics, Pinterest graphics, and link every single one of those folders to this card so that once I've got all of those linked here, and now it's time to go ahead and schedule, I'm not going back and forth, back and forth. Everything that I need is right here. All right, so that is the process. I did want to give you 3 of my secret weapons. If you guys have heard me talk about content creation before, you know that I am a huge fan of Jasper.ai, formerly Jarvis. It is a content writing AI platform, right? I can create 12 blogs within 1 hour. So that's 5 minutes per blog. You've created 3 months of content in 1 hour. Flick hashtag research is my favorite tool and for hashtag research. And then my scheduling tool, I honestly like the Facebook Business Manager for Facebook and Instagram. And then my secondary scheduling tool is called OneUp, ONE up. All right, so I know that that was a lot to throw at you at one time. What I want to do now is encourage everyone to, we're going to break out for 10 minutes. They've got 10 minutes to work. Yeah. So what I want you to do is I want you to open up that blogging, the Batch Please resource. Okay. And I want you to spend the next 10 minutes going through and completing as many steps in the blog checklist as possible. Okay, so even if you do not write a blog, this would be a great resource for you to start implementing so that you can see the transition from long form content to the micro content, right? So I want you to complete as many steps as you can, write them down. If you have the download with you, you can type it out, whatever you want to do, other than composing the written content, right? So you can think about any inbound links that you would want to include, right? So your services page, your products page, your blog page, right? Think about any outbound links that you would want to include. So if you know off the top of your head, a website or a resource that you utilize a lot relating to that topic, write it down so that once you're done with this workshop, you can go and actually implement and create your content from this. All right, so for the next 10 minutes, go ahead and knock out the blog checklist, as many items as you can on that list, and then we'll come back and talk it out. Awesome. All right, guys, so let me hear how far we got in this process and your thoughts. Do you feel like moving forward, this is going to give you the structure that you need to stay organized and effectively show up?
Can I ask a quick silly question? What Lisa's gonna keep watching Lisa's face to see if she gets mad at me for saying this. But like what is the purpose of a blog? Like, do we need to write one? Look at her face. Like, again, I'll put it this way. This is not for me. Listen, Madison's new to this game. Like, this is for Madison. This is not for me. I'm just gonna pick on people that are new, so that way it's not me. But yeah, like, so walk us through the purpose. I get the SEO, I get that, but like from I'm gonna get clients from this perspective, why do I need to write a blog?
All right, so for me, and Elisa, feel free to chime in as well. For me, it's all about probability, right? Okay, so go back to algebra or wherever the fuck we learned probability from. When you're sitting in class and you've got like the marbles, right? And the teacher's like, all right, so we've got this many red marbles and this many blue marbles, and you put them in yellow and you put them in a bag. All right, what's the probability that you'll pull out a red marble? Okay, so think about that when you are placing content out in the wide world web. How many potential clients don't know who you are on Instagram? How many don't know who you are on LinkedIn, but they have a question, right? And they type it into this tiny little search engine called Google. And then you do all of the shit that you need to do, right? Like SEO, all of those things. That increases your probability of being seen how many times, right? If you rank on Google, hello, let's go.
And see, so there's a lot of background noise in my house, but I call it kind of like, I keep coming back to the word like legacy content. And I don't know if legacy is the right word or it's like evergreen content. It's like a home base. And it could be like, I think of something like Connor who does videos. It's like, it doesn't have to be a typical blog. It is like your home base for where your content lives. And say like Connor takes like, and it's what I've started, what I've started doing with my YouTube videos is take that YouTube video, get somebody to transcribe it off Fiverr for like $5 into a blog post, and then do Emily's process where it's like, take each, paragraph, and that just generates so much content. So you're not, I think the problem a lot of content creators get into is that they're just like, okay, what am I going to talk about this week? What am I going to talk about this week? And where am I going to pull from? Or what's my caption? It's like, it literally is all done for you. And all you actually created was one piece of content. And like I said, now what I'm doing is I create a YouTube video, the audio goes on to my podcast, that goes up as its own podcast blog. And then I write another blog about it. Then that fills your newsletter. Then that fills a month's worth of Instagram posts, Pinterest, the blog goes on LinkedIn, and you can create reels off of it. And this is all from one amount of time spent on creating. So that's why I like, it could be a blog or it could be a YouTube video, but you need to have that one core piece of content. And within Emily's strategy here, it's like, it's all rooted in what you're trying to promote, right? So it's all going to tie back to those core strategies that you're putting in, or those core values. So that's why I like, it could be a blog, like I said, but you need that like one piece of legacy content so that the rest of the actual content creation is just repurposing what you already have. It makes life so much easier, but all of a sudden people are like, you're everywhere. And it's like, well, it didn't take actually any more work. Yeah,
Exactly. Elisa, so well put. And honestly, like if you don't have a podcast or you're not on YouTube, but you're on Clubhouse, then there's this great freaking tool called replays. You download the replay. It's already transcribed for you. So guess what? You just copy and paste that. That becomes your blog, right? And you guys, if you have never used Jarvis, I am freaking telling you, it saves my life. You can then take that transcription of the download that you had from Clubhouse, copy and paste it into Jarvis. They have a template called the Content Improver, and it just, it's miraculous. Okay. But yeah, so well explained, Elisa. Thank you. But yeah,
I very quickly throw one other approach into this, which I use on a pretty much on a weekly basis. So if you're not very comfortable speaking on camera, for argument's sake, and you feel like your better approach is to script your videos in advance, that's an approach I take, but then the script is going to be good for a blog. So that's actually within my schedule to start making a blog in the next couple of weeks. So I create those in advance. And then instead of having to use a tool to actually repurpose the videos to create the script out of it, I've already got the script pre-written. So if that's something you prefer, then that's another route you can go down.
yes, Connor's absolutely right. Like, Raylan, stop it. Whatever your long form piece of content is, that's what you start off with, right? So Micah does an amazing freaking podcast. He doesn't blog, right? Now I know that about Micah because he's told me that, like, Emily, I don't fuck with blogs. All right, I get it. But increasing the probability of your reach to other audiences, right? Micah can transcript that podcast and then use that, copy and paste that into a blog, right? So you don't have to start with a blog. Whatever your preferred piece of legacy content, as Elisa termed it, I love that. Start with that, right? And then form all of the rest of your content from that preferred long form piece of content, right? Because truly what we're doing is we're simply increasing that probability, right? We're putting more Micah marbles in the bowl called Google, right? So that the more Micah marbles there are, the more likely that somebody going on Google looking for what Micah has to offer is going to pick up a Micah marble.
And I just wanted to further that point, and like, people consume content differently. Not everybody listens to a podcast, but some people will find it on Pinterest, right? So the more places you can show up, the, like, am I saying, the more chances somebody's going to find you in the way they consume. And Mike, like, if you do podcasts, I have an amazing woman from Fiverr. It's like $5 and she transcribes all my podcasts for me, which is amazing. Saves me so much time because I don't have time to do that. So that's all I wanted to throw in there.
Emily, I wanted to say that the presentation was incredible, and it was so organized. I remember that I went into a program that explained it, but not with Trello. What was other that I don't remember is with a D. It was so complicated and it felt so overwhelming. I was like, no, I do believe in the power of repurposing. I do it, like, honestly, pen and paper. I organize everything and I do it. And I do have a YouTube channel. I'm not consistent with my newsletter. I'm gonna admit it. It sometimes feels too overwhelming, and I know that I need to have someone, like Emily saying, for assisting with that. But the system that you shared with us was impressive. It is organized and everything that is needed, and as content creators and entrepreneurs, it's necessary. And thank you so much for your value. It was incredible.
Oh, Karina, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, look, you guys, like I said when we got on Zoom, my house is a fucking mess right now, right? Like, we all have so many things, so many hats that we're wearing. If I can help make your life easier, like, that's the goal, right? Because clearly we have other things to do. So the more efficient that we can get and the more streamlined we can create these processes. And look, what I want you to do is take this tool and then customize it to your needs, right? So the way that my brain works and the way that I have everything structured, maybe you want to fine tune it to work best for you. That's completely fine. But just use this template, because this is, it's not that I am magical and have these magical ideas, right? It's just that I went through the obstacles so many times trying to fix it, right? That I found the process that worked best for me and put it to pen and paper, right? So it's just trial and error. And that's what's come from this. So use it. If it doesn't work for you, you can, use the template, customize it for you, and figure out what works best for you. But hopefully this framework will at least get you on the starting point of having a really clear idea of that content creation funnel, right? So look at the Trello board and imagine an arrow going from left to right. And you want to complete everything so that you keep pushing the arrow forward. That's it. So thank you so much, Karina.
All right. So on this topic, what other questions we have for Emily, and how, I guess my biggest thing is, what key takeaways are you taking from this that you're going to go and implement? Like, for me, it's going to be prioritizing the blog and the newsletter piece of it. And figuring that out. Like, I didn't know, by the way, that like Clubhouse does that, because what I could do is just simply do at least a weekly Clubhouse room, and then just like do a masterclass style Clubhouse room, and then I'll just get the audio and have that be the podcast. So that way I'm not, because I have to rebrand the podcast that I have anyway. So I think I'll start doing that.
Braylon.
Micah.
Yeah, that's the hack right there, is the whole downloading your audio. to the podcast. So sometimes I'll do like over on Clubhouse, sometimes I'll do a conversations for the culture room, and then I've downloaded some of that audio and I might implement it throughout the podcast. Also, one thing that I know that the community that I'm involved in is called the Morning Meetup. We meet every single morning. What they've started doing is every single session of every single day, they download that audio and then they upload it to they download the video and the audio and they upload it to YouTube as well as upload it to the podcast. So it's literally no extra work other than just downloading it and uploading it there. So a lot of people are starting to move in that space. So whoever does a bunch of IG lives, a bunch of YouTube videos, a bunch of Clubhouse rooms, you could definitely squeeze another podcast or two out of that content.
Yeah. And then Micah, one thing that Micah does really, really well is repurposes that onto IG, like, because I have not seen Micah, like I have not gone on Apple Podcasts, and I'm sorry, Micah, I'm just being transparent. I haven't gone onto the podcast app, right, and seen Micah's podcast. But what he did recently is shared it on IG Live, gave a snippet of the podcast. And after hearing that, I literally wrote a note in my phone and I was like, go check out Micah's podcast, right? So repurposing that content into small snippets, almost like giving them a tease, right? Of, hey, this is what you're missing out. You can do that by downloading the Clubhouse audio and putting it in your email newsletter, right? Like, hey, you guys, if you haven't checked out Clubhouse, this is what you missed out on this week, right? And you're not doing any other additional work other than copying the link over to the replay. So yeah, anybody else have any questions? Tim, I would love to see you more active on Clubhouse and repurposing this content. I know you have a new content person, so.
Yeah, that was huge for me though. I mean, that was great. I actually had the same thought Raylan did. Like, I'm just going to do at least a weekly one where I'm thinking in terms of like, this is a content generator. If someone pops in and joins the room, much the better. But like, it's the whole goal of it will be like a mini master class, and then just use that to repurpose stuff. So that's spot on. Great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, I know that is Joe still on here? Where's Joe? Yeah, let's go, Joe. Right, like you are really consumed with writing the book, right? But what if you went on Clubhouse once a week, downloaded that audio, and then repurposed that, right?
Yeah, I was even thinking again, the book has like a bunch of short chapters, so I'm just turning them all into newsletters, one at a time, and just essentially using the book as my content, like, because it's all there. I have a ton of content now that I've written.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But you, like you said in our breakout session with Tim, like you want to be that hype man, right? So
Yeah.
like take that energy, and I think that your people will resonate with you so much quicker and more easily if they can hear that energy, right?
Yeah, through an audio, or
Yeah.
Clubhouse.
For sure.
I want to say one quick thing here, because this is, if you go to the saturation stage where you got a podcast and you have a blog and you have a newsletter and you've got Instagram, you've got TikTok, you've got all these places where people can find you. And then it feeds somewhere else for them to buy you. This is why branding is so important. If you're consistent across all those places, in the language that you use, in the topics that you talk about, there can be some places where you're playing to a specific audience, like on LinkedIn, you're going to talk more maybe to the CEOs or something like that versus how you talk. But with your branding is consistent in like, this is the end result, like we just talked about the keyword, that makes you strong. If everywhere you at, it's just like a random idea here and a thought over there. And then when someone goes to buy you and they go to your landing page, I'm like, well, this is not what they're talking about. Like they're talking about this thing over there and that thing. So getting that brand and then creating the strategy right here, what she's talking about, that content to spread that brand everywhere consistently so that it makes sense. That's gas on the fire. If you just go to the place where you're like, I'm going to put it everywhere, and then you're just always whatever's on your mind and you don't have a consistent end goal and you don't have something, that's when people are like, I don't know what the hell's going on with this person. But so you start to lose that confusion retracts and repels people. The clarity creates attraction.
Yeah, Tim, so true. And you'll see it like you guys, once you start to get more active on Clubhouse, like you will see that so often. Like people come in and ask Micah, they come into, our room and they've got like 5 different social media handles. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like how does your audience know to find you, right? And so if they're like that with their social media handles, then I can't even imagine what their website or blog or YouTube channel will look like, right? So yeah, so true, Tim. Awesome. Well, you guys, I am super stoked to see how you will implement this. I hope that it's beneficial for you. And if you have any questions, like there's so many automations and streamlining that you can do in Trello that I didn't go into because it could literally be a full day event. If you want help automating any of those, don't advertise that to anybody else for free. But obviously, if you're an ECA member, just hit me up on Slack and ask me questions and I'll help you walk through it for sure.